Everyone, and a very, very warm welcome to all of you to my podcast. My name is Shilpa Das Gupta, and I am absolutely new to the world of podcasts. I have been thinking of starting my own audio podcast for a while now, but due to the pandemic and some personal losses related to it in the family, this whole process got delayed quite a bit. But here I am, and I'm just happy that it's finally taking a shape. Since the time I seeded this idea of podcast, I have always wanted to relive the magic of storytelling. As a kid, I have grown up listening to stories from my grandma, my mom, my friends as grandparents, and trust me, in today's world of so much content and stories, I still miss those cherished storytelling sessions. And those stories were mainly fairy tales and folklores, of course. A fascinating imaginary world full of kings, queens, gods, goddesses, magic, illusion. At that age, it felt so real. And that's why this is my little effort to try and bring back the sheer simplicity of gripping storytelling with the magic of folktales in my audio podcast, Oh Folk. Don't slip those little letters in between. It's Oh Folk. You're listening to Oh Folk with me, Shilpa Das Gupta. An exclusive podcast where we walk together down the folk trail with folk tales and vibrant culture stories from across the globe with the magic of storytelling. In my opinion, folk tales are the most fascinating form of stories. Imagine each of these tales carries with it ages of history and cultural transformation. They talk about our past, our ancestors, our origin. It's unbelievable that these stories, that way, are actually immortal. Most of them have originated during a time when there was no written form of communication. So no one knows who their actual authors are. They have been passed down from one generation to another, circulated and shared orally since time immemorial. There are some very popular folk tales, but there are many lesser known and in fact hardly known folk tales from across the globe. In this podcast, my aim is to bring some of these stories which are not quite familiar among people. This is my little effort of trying to relive, revive, and pass on folk tales to our next generation. I feel it's very important for younger people to know about the diversity of various cultures and also be aware of the evolution of society over so many years. Actually, folk tales are for all. While for kids, it's a dive into an unknown, exploring and discovering an imaginative world. For adults like us, it's a nostalgic journey into our childhood, or sometimes discovering about new cultures. And it's so relevant in today's world, which is a melting pot of so many cultures. Our neighbors might come from another country, and knowing their culture a little bit makes us more appreciative of everyone around us. For the first story, I'll go back to the country of my roots, India. I am from India, and my country holds proud legacy of many centuries-old ancient culture. Each state of India has their own set of unique traditions, language, food, and of course, folklores. This month of August is even more special for India as we celebrate our freedom from British colonial rule. India got independence on August 15, 1947. So this gives me even more reason to celebrate the vibrant culture of my country. For the very first story, I will travel to the beautiful cloud-draped and hill-wrapped northeastern region of India. This part of the country is so beautiful that it literally feels like born out of magic. Home to some of the densest forests of the country, rainbow-crowned cascading waterfalls, snow-capped mountains, hundreds of years old monasteries, Northeast India is ethereal. The region is comprised mainly of 8 states: Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, and Sikkim. And today's story is from the mountains of Meghalaya. Meghalaya, the name, originates from Sanskrit word Megha, meaning cloud, and Alaya, meaning abode. So Meghalaya means abode of clouds. What a beautiful name, right? This story is part of the rich folk literature of Khasi tribes. In the past, Khasis had no written literature, so they passed on many of their folk songs, traditions, stories, proverbs in oral form. This particular story is about how the earth was created. Now, every culture has their own version of a story like this or a theory like this, and each of them are extremely fascinating in their own way. I'm not aware with the language, so I might be wrong with the terms and certain names, so pardon me for that, but my excitement to tell you guys the story cannot go wrong. So let's begin. You are listening to O Folk with me, Shilpa Das Gupta, an exclusive podcast where we walk together down the folk trail with folk tales. So like many cultures, even in Khasi culture, it was believed that the earth was just a stretch of a flat, barren land. There were some forests and rivers, but there were no valleys or mountains. There were goddesses for 3 main elements of nature: Kading, goddess of fire; Kaum, goddess of water; and Kasingi, goddess of light or sun. One day, mother of these 3 goddesses decided to come down from heaven to meet her daughters. During her stay on the earth, she fell ill and unfortunately passed away. Now the 3 daughters were extremely sad and shocked because this was untimely. They couldn't even recover from the grief when they were faced with the difficult task of disposing of their mother's mortal remains. Now Khasis follow matrilineal form of society. Hold on to that term, matrilineal. I will come back to it in more details after the story. Now per matrilineal form of society, this responsibility fell on the youngest daughter, Kasingi, who is the goddess of sun. So the sun set forth her mighty rays all across to expend her mother's mortal remains. Everything around her, the trees, the bushes, the grass, everything was reduced to ashes except their mother's body. They were astonished. What happened? Everything turned into ashes except her mother's body? That's weird. Now it was turn for the second youngest daughter to give it a try. And if you remember, the second youngest daughter was Kaum, the goddess of water. So she brought in incessant rain upon the earth for many, many days. Everything around them submerged, and the flood continued for a very long time. But when the water subsided and everything came to a calm, they discovered their mother's body was still the same. Nothing happened. Finally, it was time for the oldest daughter to give it a try. Oldest daughter is Kading, goddess of fire. She was nervous. 2 of her other sisters tried but couldn't succeed. Now it all fell on her. She felt the responsibility, but she was also determined. So Kading deployed great sweeping flames across the earth. Everything around her was on fire. It blazed and smoldered. It was glowing for days non-stop. And then, finally, when the fire stopped, the 3 sisters discovered that their mother's earthly remains were finally gone. finally performed. It is believed in Khasi culture that this was the day when the new earth was formed. The dull stretch of barren land was gone. Mountains and valleys were formed. Clouds floated up in the sky and hues of different colors were seen all around. Trees, beautiful flowers appeared again to cover these beautiful valleys. Rivers and other water bodies also started flowing again, and it was only after this incident mankind started living on the face of earth. That was a beautiful story for you guys from the Khasi folklores of Meghalaya. If you notice, this story depicts the supreme power of nature and how nature plays such an important role in the formation of this world. Before 18th century, people actually believed that the world is formed because of catastrophic earthly events. And this story kind of aligns to that school of thought. Although, of course, afterwards we have many different theories behind the formation of valleys, mountains. But again, even if we go by those theories, they were formed due to some sort of natural process. So it's interesting to see that even in folk cultures, folk stories, how much importance has been given to the mother nature. I think in today's time, we are forgetting to take care of our nature. We are not doing our part enough. But these folklores kind of reminds us that, hey, that's our root. That's what we need to take care of. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I enjoyed telling you this story. But that's not it. Every episode, I'll give out an interesting folk fact, a fascinating info about the tribe or the culture the folk story has been picked from. So, time for this episode's folk fact. You're listening to O Folk with me, Shilpa, and it's time for this episode's folk fact. Remember the term matrilineal I asked you to hold on to? Let's come back to that. So Khasi tribe live under an ancient matriarchal or matrilineal system of society, with women serving as household heads. Interesting, right? In Khasis, older women in a family decide how the earned money is spent and allocated. The youngest daughter of the family is the legal custodian of the family's wealth and inherits property. When a man is married, he moves in the house of his wife's family actually. Kingship is determined through the mother, and clans trace their origin back to grandmothers of the root, and property is handed down from the female line of the deceased mother to her younger daughter. So now you get why the younger daughter had the first responsibility of immersing her mother's mortal remains. Even in 2021, when we women have to fight every moment for equal rights, equal pay, and let alone just for respect in both personal and professional lives, this traditional Khasi tribe culture is such an inspiration, right? That will be all for this episode. Thank you so very much for listening to me, for listening to this new podcast. Please follow OFolk on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, whichever podcast platform you use. I will be bringing you more such fascinating folk tales and sneak peek into cultures, traditions, their interesting stories. I have so much in store and I am so excited to share all of it with you guys. I'm also very much looking forward to get your feedbacks, reactions, reviews. So do share it with me. Please, please, please do on your preferred podcast platform. And also please share with your friends and family that there is this new storyteller girl in the town with a sack full of fascinating stories. I will be dropping new episode every other Wednesday, so that's twice a month, and I'm also on social media giving you updates about new episodes and more behind the scenes sneak peek. So do follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can search with ofolk_podcast or just ofolk, and you should be able to find me. And in the meantime, you can check out other episodes of O Folk. There are fascinating folk tales about desserts. Yes, you heard me right, desserts and more. So catch you guys there as well. And do not forget to do your bit to take care of Mother Earth, because this is all we have. This is our home, and we need to do this not just for ourselves but our children. So take care of the earth, take care of yourself. Goodbye. Stay healthy, stay safe. Namaste.